Okay, I think we have started. Okay. Okay, so let's start. Well, last week we were discovering the activity component, okay, the activity class in Android Studio, and in particular the activity lifecycle. So I propose you one exercise, okay, a simple one, to try to figure out how some Android applications that you may have installed in your phone, how they are organized into activities. Okay, so as I told you, most modern Android applications have a more complex structure, and they are not just based on on simple or single activities. Okay, they use another components, fragments, and so on. Okay, but the truth is that, let's say, the activity lifecycle is the building block of any Android application. So it's important when designing any application, any mobile application, that we keep in mind this activity lifecycle and the idea of using just one activity to offer just one or a few functionalities to the user. So I propose you a very simple assignment, a very simple task. Okay, so maybe we can review some of the task that that you submitted. Okay, so I don't know how many of you are connected today. 28, 30. Okay, so first of all, I will ask if is there any volunteer. Okay, to explain the activities in some of the application that you studied. Otherwise, I will choose randomly. Okay, so as you want. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. Wait a moment. Okay, so this was a task about the activity diagram. So maybe we can, okay, I will choose one of these one. Okay, for example, wait a moment. But the first one, Iván Alejos is there? Iván, ¿estás ahí? Ah, no sois tímidos. Okay, I think you can speak. ¿Puedes hablar? ¿Tienes micro? Hola, hola. Como quieras. In English or Spanish, I don't mind. You can try it in English if you want. If you don't feel comfortable, do it in Spanish.
Vale.
Okay, I think this is, yeah, this is yours? Twitter?
Yes.
Okay. So go ahead.
pero ¿qué explico?
Pues, ¿qué actividades ves tú, por ejemplo, en Twitter?
Ah,
Entiendo que la primera actividad es que abres Twitter, ¿no?
sí, abrir Twitter, después darle al de redactar tweet que está abajo a la derecha
¿Vale?
y cuando le das se abre la pestaña, o sea, como una pestaña nueva para escribir el tweet,
Ujú.
lo escribes y después a tuitear, publicar y ya te vuelve a la del principio.
Vale. O sea, abres Twitter. Tengo Twitter abierto yo aquí en mi esta, ¿vale?
Sí,
O sea, tú haces, vale, la primera pantalla es cierto, o sea, es la lista de. No sé si lo veis, espera. Vale, ok, vale. No se ve, no se ve. Me lo filtra el filtro, ¿vale? Pero sí, tú tienes la pantalla de tweets, ¿vale? Y cuando haces clic en este, correcto, se abre una nueva ventana para redactar el tweet,
mm,
¿vale? Y luego ya directamente le das a tuitear, ¿vale? O sea, realmente lo que veo yo es que, por ejemplo, al menos en mi versión móvil de Twitter, ¿vale? Me sale la primera ventana, por ejemplo, es pues una vista con una lista en la que aparecen todos los tweets de mi timeline, ¿vale? Uno
mm,
detrás de otro. Tengo ese botón. Ese botón tiene toda la pinta de que abre una nueva actividad, ¿vale? Porque sí que, digamos, reemplaza completamente la interfaz anterior, ¿vale? Y de hecho, si le doy al botón de atrás, ¿vale? Cuando estoy en A2 y tengo la ventana para redactar el tweet, me vuelve a la 1, ¿vale? Me vuelve a la lista, ¿vale? Y lo que veo es que, por ejemplo, A3 y A4, por ejemplo, a mí no me aparecen, ¿vale? Por ejemplo, yo estoy en la pestaña para redactar el tweet, redacto el tweet, directamente tengo la opción de tuitear y digamos, cuando estoy en A2 vuelvo a 1 directamente, ¿vale? No, en mi opinión, o al menos en lo que estoy yo aquí trasteando con Twitter, no existe una actividad 3 o una actividad 4,
vale, vale.
¿vale? Digamos, actividad 3 y actividad 4, ¿me entiendes? O sea, no son actividades, de mi punto de vista, porque no están ofreciendo una
Pestaña
interfaz
nueva.
diferente al usuario, ¿vale? Lo estás haciendo todo dentro de esta, ¿vale? Que es,
Vale.
que es una manera también de simplificar al máximo la interacción con el usuario. ¿Vale? Imagínate que,
Vale.
por ejemplo, en este caso, pues yo, mira, estoy en la actividad A1, hago clic en la pluma esta del Twitter, se me abre una pestaña para redactar y si quisiera publicar, tuviera que hacer otra vez clic en un botón que me mandara otra ventana y luego otra ventana, ¿vale? Eso es raro. Realmente tú en Twitter solamente tienes, para este proceso, o sea, para esta historia de usuario, ¿no? Para hacer esta acción, solamente tienes las dos. Yo por lo menos veo que solamente tienes las dos primeras actividades, ¿vale? Abro Twitter, veo el timeline y luego hago clic en el botoncito de publicar, me abre la pestaña para redactar y arriba a la derecha tengo el botón de tuitear. Y cuando eso tuiteo y vuelvo a la actividad 1. Correcto, vuelvo a la actividad 1. ¿Vale?
Vale.
¿Vale? O sea, solamente es lo que os decía un poco, que lo que busca es, al final, lo que buscamos siempre con las actividades es mantener la navegación lo más sencilla posible. ¿Vale? De hecho, también vuelvo al inglés, ¿vale? You think about many applications, when you have to move from one screen to another screen to another screen, the user experience is not so good. Okay. Okay. So from my point of view, these A3 and A4 are not implemented. Okay. It doesn't exist neither A3 or A4. They don't exist as independent activities. Okay. These are things that you can do here in A2 in the screen for writing, drafting the tweet, and then when you click on publish, it goes back to the timeline. Okay.
Ok.
Okay. So I will be completely random. Okay. Okay. Miguel Ferrer, you connected? Miguel is there? Miguel? No, Miguel? Okay. I will take a look at this one, okay? Instagram. So, Yeah, that's a good example, okay, of a complex that it is guided through different screens, okay? Let me open the Instagram too. We'll take a look at this. This is very similar to Twitter, okay? But you have some intermediate steps, okay, that you need to select the photo and so on, okay? So if you open Instagram, you have the, okay, you are in the home screen. Again, it's something like the Twitter timeline. Then you click in the plus button, I think, okay, to choose one image, okay, and here you get a different, yeah, here you get a different activity, I think. Okay, you choose the image. Let's go. You have the option to choose the filter, fine. And then, well, you have, after adding the filters, you had another option to actually write down the text, yeah, the text that is that will be published with the picture. Okay, and once you finish, you go back to the home screen. Okay, so I think here you have between, after A3, I think you have an additional activity. Okay, the one for tagging people, adding the location, and actually writing the message. Okay, the short message that you publish, that you may publish optionally with the with the with the photo, with the picture, with the whatever it is. Okay, so I think here you are missing one additional activity. Okay, and okay, I will choose two more. Livia, are you there? Livia, ¿estás ahí? A ver si está Livia. Livia? Yes, you can speak? Telegram. I'm a bit shy, don't worry. You can speak in Spanish if you want. I'm a bit social phobic. Okay. Do you want me to explain it? Add filters debería de seguir en el task backstack una vez que se vuelve al home screen. Probablemente no. No. Por ejemplo, si yo, es que no quiero publicar algo en mi Instagram, ¿vale? No. No, de hecho no aparece en el task backstack, yo creo que ahí desaparece, ¿vale? Esa desaparece de ahí. Estará destruida. De hecho, es probable, por lo que os decía, que que a lo mejor estas actividades, digamos que funcionalmente parecen actividades, a lo mejor no están implementadas como actividades, ¿vale? Y A2, A3 y A4 sea una misma actividad con diferentes componentes que aparecen y desaparecen, ¿vale? También puede que esté implementado así, ¿vale? Eso a priori no lo sabemos. ¿Vale? Lidia, ok, va, explico yo lo de Lidia. So Telegram. We are in the main menu of Telegram. Let me open Telegram. I think I have installed the application that you are proposing. Okay, I open Telegram and I have the same user interface like WhatsApp. Okay, a list of chats, a list of conversations. Okay, so I have the option to, if I open a given chat, Okay, I go to the chat and I can go back, yeah, true, to the list again. If I click on options, and what do you mean by options? Because I don't see any. Options, ¿qué es? En tu Telegram. One moment. Explico. Because for example, if I click in Telegram, okay, if I click on the hamburger button, okay, la hamburguesa, las tres rayitas superiores, it opens a side menu, and then I can choose, for example, the option settings, ajustes, and ajustes opens a new activity, okay, to put your profile photo, your personal data, the username, and so on, okay? And I can go back again to the list, okay? I think this is the options you are referring to. But for example, if I go into the chat, I have no option, say, to choose any option, okay? So I think in this case, okay, the option of the chats, okay. Yeah, but in the options in the chat, for example, you have Telegram and you open it. When you are in a chat and you open the upper right menu, it opens some kind of a pop-up list, okay, with buscar, reportar, vaciar chat, silenciar, salir del grupo. But these options, this menu is not creating. The option menu in the chat is not creating a new activity, okay? Neither the option menu in the main list of messages, okay? Once you choose, for example, in the main menu of the main screen, on the home screen, if you open the ajustes option, then you open a new activity, okay? So it's important that you make the difference between some items, some views that are being displayed in the same activity and new different activities. Dale al propio nombre del grupo, no a eso. Okay. If I open that, okay, here, yeah. In this case, when you click on the title of a chat, you are opening in this case, you are opening a new activity. Okay, correct. Okay. Yeah, you open a new activity, and if you press back, you go back to the previous one. Okay, as I told you, maybe this is not implemented as an activity. Okay, but the design concept that is behind that is a new activity or a separate interface allowing the user to perform a specific action. Okay, and let's open a final one. Marta, is Instagram again? No. Pues María Dolores is there? See a different application. Reloj. Okay. Marta, ¿estás? Are you there? Marta, no Marta. Yo sí. ¿Puedes hablar? Can you speak? Espera.
No sé si me dices a mí, porque habías dicho que Instagram no.
Ah, no, perdona, María Dolores Rodríguez.
Sí, soy yo.
Vale, me he liado de nombre. Marta María, perdón. Sorry. ¿Vale? Sí, como Instagram ya lo hemos visto por ahora lo abrimos también el de Instagram. No te vayas. A ver, María Dolores, el reloj.
Sí.
Explica, explain.
Pues cuando hables la aplicación, primero
Sí.
sale la activity ese principal y luego tienes los diferentes activities que te mueves por ellos por los botones superiores, que sería el del cronómetro, el temporizador y demás.
Correcto.
Y luego tienes la opción de ajustes, que también tienen algunos son activities también, si le pulsas las opciones, y otros
Sí.
son desplegables o botones.
Ok.
Y también cuando justo da la casualidad de que la opción de ajustes, si rotas la pantalla, se rota también, por lo que
Correcto.
eso sería otro
Correcto.
activity.
Correcto, sí. Sí, a ver, es la misma actividad que, digamos, el sistema Android automáticamente la destruye y la recrea para
Sí.
adaptarla a una nueva orientación. ¿Vale? Vale, sí, este es un buen ejemplo. Además, seguramente es más sencilla, a veces es más fácil de visualizar. ¿Vale? Luego, lo mismo de antes, ¿no? Igual estas distintas opciones, ¿vale? Las superiores, no lo sabemos si están implementadas como actividades diferentes o no, ¿vale? Pero a efectos de diseño es como si fuera una actividad diferente, ¿vale? Luego ya ahí depende, ¿vale? Porque si yo, por ejemplo, estoy en reloj, ¿vale? Fíjate, una manera de comprobar si es una actividad, una manera, ¿vale? No es 100% precisa, ¿vale? De comprobar si es una actividad diferente o no, es, vale, yo me voy, por ejemplo, hago clic en cronómetro, ¿vale? Y le doy al botón de atrás, ¿vale? Si me volviera a la alarma, eso tiene puntos para ser una actividad, ¿vale? Si no me vuelve a la alarma, puede que no sea una actividad, ¿vale? Porque no está en el task back stack, ¿vale? Ahora lo acabo de probar y, por ejemplo, si yo le doy vuelta atrás, yo me hago clic en cronómetro y le doy al botón de atrás, o hago el gesto de volver atrás, me devuelve a la home screen del dispositivo, ¿vale? O sea que probablemente esto sea una única actividad, ¿vale? Con distintos fragmentos o distintos componentes que se ocultan y se muestran, ¿vale? Pero lo que sí es una nueva actividad es la parte de ajustes, ¿vale? Si os fijáis, hay una convención un poco en el diseño que es la flechita arriba en la esquina superior izquierda para volver atrás, ¿vale?
Vale.
Vale. Y a ver, el Instagram, a ver cómo lo había planteado Marta. Abro en Firefox. Ok, hola Marta. Go ahead.
Pues yo abres Instagram, está la pantalla principal y pues por ejemplo en un perfil pulsas, se abre el perfil, que es la segunda actividad, y ahí pone enviar mensaje, entonces pulsas y se abre la pantalla de direct, que es o sea, eso.
Ok.
Y ya, o sea, mandas el direct que sea y cuando vuelvas atrás vuelves al perfil.
Vale, a ver, voy a probar. Bien, usuario, correcto. Sí, tiras atrás. Cierto. Justo. Sí, ese sí que es un buen ejemplo, ¿vale? Porque ahí sí que vas volviendo atrás. Y si devuelves, o sea, llegas aquí, te vas al perfil, le mandas el mensaje. Si, por ejemplo, en la ventana del mensaje no le llegas a enviar el mensaje o cambias de opinión, puedes volver a perfil de usuario y en el perfil de usuario vuelves a dar el botón de atrás, ¿vale? Y vuelves a ir a la ventana de inicio, al inicio. Sí, correcto. Muy bien. Sí, este sí que es un ejemplo bastante sencillo, ¿vale? Y que tiene pinta de estar implementado con actividades, ¿vale? Precisamente por ese flujo de navegación que te permite ir de una pantalla a otra, ¿vale? Muy bien. Ok, so... Ok, any question on... ¿Alguna pregunta? Any question on this part? Okay, so I think that I think it's useful, okay, to now that you are studying, most of you are starting the study of mobile application development, to try to figure out how the applications that we use are or maybe implemented. Okay, I'm going to close everything. Okay. And now going back here. Okay, I have added some resources in the. I have added some resources in the virtual classroom. Okay, well, in the course slides you have all the slides. Okay, I have added the slides on last week. We were on this one on topic 2, activities and intents. Okay, we are going to take a look at the intents. In this today we will finish the intents and we will start with user interface development. Okay, we will take a look at some of the most important visual components in an interface. I have added some resources. Just a direct link to the Android documentation on understanding the activity life cycle. Okay, that's what you are. Well, you will find a detailed explanation of, again, the activity life cycle itself. Okay, as we saw it last week, and all the methods. Okay, the callback methods that are used during the activity life cycle. Okay, with a lot of examples and so on. You will all see the code implementation in Kotlin, and if you click, you will get the implementation in Java. Okay, all the methods and on pause, on stop. Okay, with I think it's interesting. I think you can take a look at this. Okay, I think it's quite useful. Okay, there are also some recommendations on what to implement or how to take advantage of this activity life cycle for developing the our application. Okay. And I have also added 2 resources on some Android applications, okay, that are written in Java, mostly in Java. There are some applications in Kotlin too, and that are open source. Okay, so you can actually take a look at the code. You can check it and to play with it in Android Studio. Okay, in this one and this one. Okay. Okay, here you have close here. Okay, this is Bitold 2017. Okay, some 38 amazing. Don't know if they are amazing or not. Open source Android applications written in Java. Okay, and well, you have social networking applications, official Kickstarter open source application, YouTube front end, the official WordPress application for Android. Okay, so you can check the code always in GitHub. Actually, for example, some news application. Okay, here you have a news reader. Application for recording thing, yeah, recording videos in Android, an Android gallery, okay, and some productivity application, okay, and an email app, K9, sorry, and note-taking application, music player, several music players, okay, and even some games, okay, so you can, if you are really curious about that, you can take a look at the code in GitHub. Okay. I think, for example, if we open, let's try with this one. Okay. Okay. You can. Well, this is a GitHub repository. Okay. So you can, of course, navigate the code. You can check it, the code, and import it into your Android application. Okay. From this one. And also you can take a look at the code. Okay, I think it's important if well, 2 things. If the application is published in in the Play Store, you can take a look at it. So you can actually download the application and see whether it works and how it works. And also you can take a look at the date of the last update. So it can give you a hint on whether the application is still being developed or maybe it's an abandoned project. Okay. The interesting part here, for example, you can enter app. Okay, and you have all the code. Okay. Also, for example, another one. This one, the WordPress application. This will be surely still being developed. Okay, last commit 3 hours ago. Okay. And again, you have a README, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Some applications, especially the more complex one, may have some additional build instructions. Okay, so well, maybe you could, if you've tried that, we will check the code, and maybe when you try to run it, it doesn't work. Okay, it may happen. Okay, some additional instructions. I think there are some of these that you can try. Okay, you can directly download the application, download the code, and create a new project in Android Studio and directly look at the code and execute it. Okay, this is the Android gallery. Again, you have all everything here. Okay, in this folder, the app source/main, you have the manifest. Okay, so when looking at an Android application for the first time, especially if you haven't developed that, a good practice is to take a look at the manifest. Okay, because you will see, for example, in this case, this was the gallery. Okay, you have the permissions that the application will require to the user, to the device, to the user to actually be executed. Okay, and also the activities that are implemented. Okay, the splash screen, the main activity, sync and media activity, settings activity, about activity, and blah blah blah. Okay, additional activities. So that's something you can take a look at. And here you have another one, open source Androids with source code for, okay, this one. Another one, this is more recent, okay, but I'm not sure whether they are implemented in Java or not. Here you have the source code of Telegram, okay, and you can check the code in GitHub. And okay, this is a launcher. Some of you asked me this weekend about the possibility to develop a launcher, so maybe you can take a look at some of these applications, some of these projects. Okay, an application for the to-do list, a file manager, blah 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 blah. Okay, and here you have Telegram. Telegram will be a very complex application. Okay, so don't be afraid. Don't panic if you think that you don't understand anything. Okay, these are very complex applications. Okay, but again, here, for example, you have the manifest of Telegram with all the permissions required. Okay, a lot of permissions for sure on all the activities. All the activities, and also here, this is interesting. For example, you can see that our other components, okay, are also being declared in the manifest. Okay, we haven't studied them yet, but you have here the broadcast receivers, the services, okay, for running things in the background. Well, a lot of services and some content providers. Okay. And that's it. Okay, so feel free to, here's left pick again, can name an email again, some manager. Okay, and also this is a you can also install F-Droid, okay, which is it's just a third party, let's say an independent application store, okay, that only offers open source Android apps. Okay, so you can install this app store in your Android phone and have access to open source applications. Okay, you can download it and install it into this app store. This is alternative to the Android Play Store. Okay. Lidia, las opciones, sorry que no había leído el mensaje. Las opciones de Telegram, dada que son distintos tipos de opciones, tendría que haber separado las acciones. Déjame abrir Telegram otra vez. Sí, o sea, ahí el tema es que seguramente, o sea, tú desde, por ejemplo, desde la home screen, a ver, tampoco quería que hicierais un análisis completo de todas las actividades de Telegram, ¿vale? Pero mira, por ejemplo, ahora que lo hemos abierto, podemos echar un vistazo a las actividades que tiene declaradas, ¿vale? Muy bien traído, ¿vale? ¿Qué tenemos? Tenemos una launch activity, ¿vale? Tenemos una actividad que hace un montón de cosas, ¿vale? ¿Qué más tenemos? ¿Qué más tenemos? Tenemos una actividad para las llamadas, ¿vale? Imagino que es cuando llamas por teléfono. Tenemos una actividad para Babel. Babel, ¿qué puede ser Babel? Quizás sea Babel, quizás sea los chats, no estoy seguro, ¿vale? Una actividad para compartir, será activity, ¿vale? Será cuando compartes algo directamente desde Telegram. Aquí hay algunas cosillas comentadas. Y luego ya son receivers, ¿vale? Esto se ha comentado también. Vale, a ver. Esto es actualizado hace 6 días, vale. Probablemente, ¿vale? En este caso, tal y como está planteado, estén utilizando a efectos de implementación, ¿vale? Una única actividad para hacer casi todo, ¿vale? Digamos, desde cuando tú entras cuando tú estás en la home screen y no te metes en los chats, ¿vale? Pero estás navegando por los menús, las opciones, etcétera, tiene pinta de que todo eso puede que sea una sola actividad, ¿vale? Está implementado como una sola actividad, ¿vale? Aunque digamos la filosofía de diseño que hay detrás siga siendo la de, oye, una pantalla para cada acción de usuario, ¿vale? Y realmente, o sea, que tal y como lo has planteado estaba bien, ¿no? Tú estás ahí, haces clic en opción y aparentemente eso es una nueva actividad. Si luego está implementado de una manera o de otra, ya es un poco algo que a priori, salvo que sea código abierto, pues tampoco puedes saber, ¿vale? Vale, ¿alguna pregunta más? ¿Any question? Vale. Vale, pues vamos a ponernos con las diapos, ¿vale? We are going to finish the part, the topic on activities and intents, okay? I'm going to open it here. Okay. No, I'm going to open it into the Android. Wait. Okay, so we saw the activities, okay, all the stuff here, blah 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 blah. Okay, so now we start with the intent class, okay. Actually, we use intents to launch activities, okay. Actually, in Android, an intent is a data structure that contains information, okay, contains data. Mainly the action we want to perform, any data we are providing, and well, category, types, some features, some flags, and some component that we may want to use. Okay, so the action, okay, is a string, okay, and actually it represents the action that we want to carry out. Okay, so for example, some of them are declared, okay, as public and static attributes in the intent class. So we can use the action view to view an item, action edit to edit an element, dial to dial a phone number, to send data, to pick, or to perform a search, okay, to look for something. So when we create the intent, okay, we can specify the action we want to carry out. Okay, we can do that when creating the intent. In this case, the new intent intent dot action edit, or after the intent has been created. Okay, we can create in the code the intent, it's a new intent, empty, and then with the method set action to specify the action we want to carry out. We can also store data in the intent, okay, in the form of a URI. So, for example, in this case, we are creating an intent to view, which is the action, okay, intent.action view, an address in a map, okay, and we are providing this address with the method set data. Okay, in this case, looking for University Valencia Campus Burjasot. Okay, or for example, we can create an intent to make a call. Okay, here the action is action dial, and we provide the phone number. Okay. We can also provide a type. Okay, if we want to specify a meme type. Okay, from one of the standards, image, GPT, HTML, plain text, a PDF, and so on. Okay, and also some vendor-specific types. Okay. For example, in this case, we want to view. We do an intent to view, which is the action, an image. Okay, the type here, image. Okay, or we could do an intent to select one contact, okay, that have email. Okay, in this case, we have the method set data and type. Okay, or for example, editing a calendar event. Okay, so here in this case, from the Android application, we are telling the system that we want to do something. Okay. We can also add additional information with what is called extras. Okay, and well, actually the additional information will depend on the type of component that is going to be activated after our intent. Okay, if we create let's say an intent to send some text, okay, we will set the type of the thing that we want to send as a text, as a plain text, okay, and we could add as an extra data, an extra additional information, for example, the text that we want to send, okay. So we are using extra data, okay, intent extra text as the name key. This is a key value pair, okay. So, for example, here we want to edit, okay, an event, okay, and we want to provide some. We want to edit with this intent. We want to provide some to edit an event and provide some additional data related to this event. Okay, so we create the intent. Okay, new event which is about editing something. What are we going to edit? Set type an event. Okay, and we could put extra additional information on the intent. Okay, for example, again in key value pairs, the title, task, the description, whatever, study intents, the location, okay, the school of engineering, okay, begin time, end time, again, okay, parameters that are related to the, in this case, to this type of the action, okay, what we are going to perform. Then here we are saying we can also specify the component that we want to activate. Okay, so here we are talking mainly about implicit intents. Okay, we will here in this example we are saying the system that we want to send something or that we want to edit something. Okay, we can also, especially when navigating in our application, okay, internally we will want to specify the component that we want to activate. Okay, this is what is called an explicit intent. Okay, so we will pass this component as the class type. Okay, in this case, for example, we will be in one activity of our application. If we want to open a new activity, so this one is added to the task stack, we will create an intent with this syntax. Okay, new intent, get application context, okay, and comma, another activity class. Okay, this will be the second activity that we are going to create. Okay, so of course we assume that in an explicit intent, we must be sure that the component, in this case the activity, exists and belongs to the same application. Okay, if it doesn't exist, okay, or we are not sure about that, we should use an implicit intent. Okay, so typically explicit intents are used for activating components within our application, and implicit intents will be used to tell to the system, to the Android system, that we want to do something. For example, open a PDF or send an email or dial some phone number or whatever. Okay. Think about, for example, where you are. For example, you are in the browser and you are looking for the phone address, the phone number of a restaurant. Okay. So you typically will select the phone number in the web page, in the website of the restaurant, okay, and you will have the option to llamar, call, okay. When you click on llamar to this phone number, the browser application is not dialing the number itself, is sending an implicit intent with an action dial, okay. Any question on that? Let me open the, okay. So as I tell you, very often we use intents to start activities. Okay, so the activity class, okay, offers methods, okay, to launch another activity using an intent. Okay, we can The problem we may encounter is that there are no candidate activities, okay, to be, we may create the intent to start a new activity, but the new activity, the activity that we are requesting doesn't exist, okay? So if there are no candidate activities, the application will fail, okay? So we can, if we are not sure about that, okay, if we have implemented the application and we know that the activity exists, we can skip this step, okay? But if we are not sure, we could check, okay, beforehand if there are candidates that can be actually execute the intent, okay? Think about, for example, if you try to open, for example, a maps application, okay? We want to open a location, okay, latitude and a longitude, and we want to open that in a map. Maybe we would like to be sure that previously some application exists for that, okay? So anyway, to launch another activity, we will use the method start activity, okay? Passing the intent that we have created as a parameter, okay? We can just launch an activity, and let's say from the present activity, we can expect no result at all, okay? So we just call the method start activity and we specify the intent that we want to launch, okay? Or we can launch the activity and expect some result going back from the activity created, okay? So in order to manage this flow of results, information between activities, okay, there are some callback methods, okay? For example, in this case, using the start activity for result method, okay, when we launch the activity, okay, we launch a second activity, for example, for, I don't know, doing whatever, okay, entering some data or whatever, okay. When this second activity is finished, okay, in the first activity, there will be another a callback method will be called that will allow us to see whether there is some result, okay. In this case, for example, for returning a result, okay, the activity launched, okay, the second activity, okay, will return some result, okay, and here we have used this method, okay, in the second activity set result to actually put the result that we are sending back to the first activity, okay, with two arguments. An integer that could be result okay or result cancel, and an intent that can include, for example, a URI, a telephone, whatever. Okay, so we can use that to send data from activities and back. Okay, so in this case, we will in the first activity to call this method start activity for the result. Okay, we start the second activity, and in the second activity, depending on what the user does or whatever process that we are doing, we will use the method set result to, let's say, to set some result. Okay, and later on in the first activity, okay, when the second activity is finished, the onActivity result method will be called, okay, onActivity result, and then we will have three arguments, okay, the code that identifies the activity, okay, the result code, result okay and result cancel, and the intent with the data that we have set it here, okay. So this is a way to again to exchange, to pass information, to pass data between activities. And finally, we have what we call intent filters. Okay. Intent filters are used to help Android select the components to be activated. Okay. So let me check if in some of the examples. Okay, yeah. I will finish the explanation, and then we will take a look at an example in the Telegram application again. Okay, so again, we use intents, okay, either implicit or explicit, to request the activation of some component, okay, to carry out some action on some data, okay. So we can do an explicit intent. So in this case, we are precisely saying to Android which component should be activated, or we can use an implicit intent. Okay, so with intent filters, we register components, activities, but also services or broadcast receivers. Okay, and we are telling Android that these components are capable of performing a particular action, okay, on a particular type of data. Okay, this registration again is done in the Android manifest file, okay, where we declare all the components of the application. Okay, how do we do that? By adding the element intent filter as a child of the component, of the activity, of the service, or the broadcast receiver. Okay, so if a component, think about an activity, does not declare an intent filter, this component will only be activated with an explicit intent. Okay, we in our application we will need to say launch this activity. Okay, if we register this as an intent filter, Android may decide to activate it depending on what we want to, on the action that the user or the application wants to perform. So here the structure of the label is the component, for example, activity, and here you have the intent filter element specifying the action, the category, and the data. Okay, component can be activity, service, or broadcast receiver. Okay, and action is used to specify the name of the action offer, the action offered by the component. Okay, we can use predefined actions or even define a new action. Okay, in this case using the package name. We can use category to give additional information, or we can use data to specify the types of data that the component can actually process. Okay, so let's open again the Telegram code. Okay, so here you have the manifest again. I'm going to make it bigger. Okay, and here, for example, you have the launch activity. I think this is the main activity of the Telegram application. Okay, so you can see that, for example, when you want to send an image, okay, from any Android application, Telegram will be an option to do that. Okay, again, when you want to send a video, or you want to send several images, when you want to send some text, okay, we are saying in this with this declaration, with all these intent filters, we are telling Telegram is telling Android that actually the application can the application, this specific activity in the application can perform all these actions. send images, send videos, send several images, send text, send whatever, okay? So it's just things that you can do with that, okay? We are also telling, it's interesting, okay? Here we are telling Android that the Telegram application can open URLs, okay? Can display view, okay? Can display URLs from the telegram.me.doc.whatever TV address, okay? And blah, 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 okay? Additional intent filters. Okay, do you follow me? More or less? Okay, I continue. Okay, permissions. Let me see if there is something interesting here. But for example, you have also some activities. Let me check that. That can only be activated by an explicit intent. Okay, for example, this bubble activity. Okay, that I think I'm not sure. I think is the activity displaying a given chat. This activity can only be activated with an explicit intent. Okay, so this activity can only be activated from the application itself. Okay. Yeah, that's all. Okay. I'm going back to the presentation. Okay, in category, well, we have additional information. Okay, for example, when we specify category launcher, okay, we are saying that the activity will be the initial activity of an application, okay, and will appear in the application launcher of the device, okay. I'm not going to change again, okay, but you will see that all the applications will have an activity, okay, which which has a filter, okay, for action main and for category launcher. Okay, this will be the first activity to be displayed to the user when the application is started. Okay. We will have category browsable if the activity can be started from a browser. Okay, for example, to display data from any link. Okay, an image, a PDF file, and so on. Okay. Okay, and for example, if you remember here, I'm going to share it again. I'm going to share everything because otherwise I'm continuously changing. Okay, here you have this one. Okay, the one opening URL internet addresses, the Telegram addresses. Okay, has the category also browsable. Okay. Category default must be set if the activity can be called using implicit intents, which is the case. Okay, and category alternative is used when the activity can appear in the dynamically generated menus from the intent. Okay. So, for example, when you are writing an application to show images, but do not want to write the code, okay, to edit the images, you can search for existing applications that can perform that work. Okay. So, for example, when you are using an application, okay, and you want to do some action that requires the use of external application, sometimes Android will offer you some alternatives. Okay, if you want your application, your activity to be displayed as an alternative, you should use also this category. Okay, well, here you have a very simple example, okay, to perform a phone call. Okay, so we are saying that this activity can actually perform a phone call. Okay, and in this case, an activity that can display images and that can be activated by clicking on a hyperlink to an image. Okay, this is very similar to the to this one. Okay, in this case, opening the URL from Android. Okay, and yeah, and that's it. Okay, here you have several examples. Okay, this is the dummy example. Okay, just an application with just one activity. Okay, in this case you have the main activity. The only activity that is declared in the application has the intent filter, main, and launcher. Okay, and in this other example, here you have an Android application with two activities: the main activity, okay, and a second activity that will be activated with an explicit intent. Okay. Finally, well, I think it should work. Let me check that. Okay, here you have a very complete documentation, okay, on all the intents. Okay. For example, creating an alarm, creating a timer. Well, here you have a lot of examples. Okay. Okay. So, okay. Let me go back to the. Okay. Wait, I'm going to open a. So here, for example, you have the example of the one of the empty applications that were created by Android Studio by default. Okay, so here you have the application. In this case, you have just one activity. Okay, you have just one activity, even if you have just one activity. Okay, which is this one. Sorry, I have a lot of things open. I'm going to close that. Okay, we have just one activity, which is the main activity, okay, with some code. Even if we, in this implementation, in this example provided by Android Studio, we are using fragments, okay, to change what is actually displayed in the screen, okay, in the user interface, okay. So in some of these examples, okay, that we have seen in the, I'm going to execute this one in the emulator. Okay, in one of the examples that you analyze, okay, that you were thinking, okay, is this an activity or is not an activity? Okay, probably the implementation is using an activity with different fragments, okay, that allows us to display or to hide some parts of the user interface to the user. Okay. In this case, for example, okay, this is the here, for example, we have just one activity. Okay, and here we seem to be moving from one activity to another. Okay, but actually we have just one activity. Okay, and we are what we are doing is to change the fragment, okay, that is displayed to the user, okay. Okay. So I think we are going to move a bit. It's a quarter to 4:15. Okay, we are going to move into a bit into the user interface development. Okay, and later on I will explain to you one of the assignments that we will carry out this week. Okay, so you can start playing a bit with Android. So layouts. Well, Android is the user interface is very Java-like. Okay. In Android user interfaces, okay, we have a view class that is the super class of all the elements that we can place on the screen. Okay, and we have also view group, okay, which is a subclass of view, and view group is the view group class is the superclass of the elements that can contain other elements. Okay, so each subclass of view group will organize the components in a particular way. Okay, so if we do the analogy with Java, each subclass, okay, would be the equivalent of a container, okay, together with the specification of how the components should be organized. So with this layout approach, okay, we are able to separate the presentation part from the code part. Okay, and actually, what's nice is that okay, the presentation layer, okay, can actually be made without knowing how to code. Okay, so here in this case, our development team, different people, okay, with different training, can be working on parallel, okay, at each layer, okay, at the presentation layer and the code, the programming layer. So in Android, okay, the presentation, which is what actually appears on the screen, can be defined in a XML file. Okay, that actually Android Studio helps a lot because it can this XML file, okay, this layout, what it's called, the layout can be generated automatically using a wizard, okay, where we can drag drop the elements on the screen and we can modify and design and modify it in a rather user-friendly way. Okay, so when we insert elements on the wizard, okay, Android Studio will generate and will update all the XML and resource files. Okay, we can find this XML, okay, in the REST layout directory of the project. Okay, so let's go back to the Android Studio. I am going to open the other was my empty application. Okay. Okay, this is the simplest application. Okay. So here we have the let me open. Okay. So here you have the so-called wizard, okay, the visual editor, okay, and we have the view group, in this case the constraint layout, containing the text view, a text view, and a button. Okay, so this layout, okay, is within this activity main XML file. Okay, that it is dynamically generated when we change things. Okay. Okay, you have a lot of options here, and well, you can play with that. Okay. Bum, bum, bum. Parameters and so on. Okay, let me check if we can open that. Okay. What else? Okay, here you're in the design view. Okay, you can also see the code view. Okay, this is the XML that is generated when we modify things. Okay, for example, you have here an horizontal bias of 0.498. Okay, in the text view. Maybe we can, let me see if we can, no. Change that. Maybe we have changed something here. Okay, we have changed the white and the height. Okay. So this is very user friendly. Okay, and you can use it to draft the layout. But probably you will also very often you need to, even if you can do the design with the visual editor, very often you will need to go into the code, okay, and make some fine grain adjustment to the layout here, okay, and you can also have this split view, okay. So well, here you have the example of a layout, okay, using a linear layout, which is a bit outdated, with a text view, some text, an image, and a button, okay. In our case here, we have just a text view and a button, okay. We can add other elements, okay. For example, if we want to add a switch button, we could put it here, for example, and then wait. Okay, here, for example. Okay, well, let's see it later. Okay. We have added a switch button here, which is this one that allows you to change from one side to another. Okay, so in the code, we have right now added this element, the switch element. Okay. So we see that we can define this layout, okay, this presentation layer quite easily. Okay, so how do we assign a given layout to a given activity? Okay, so for this we have the class activity that offers the method set content view. Okay, so we pass as a parameter the layout, okay, that we want to set in a given activity. Okay. For example, here you have a new activity, blah blah blah, and in the onCreate method, okay, we always call the set content view method, okay, and we say which layout do we want to use, okay, and when that method is called, okay, all the views that are defined in the layout file will be created in memory as Java objects, okay. In this case, again, we go back to the empty application. If we go to the main activity, we will see that we are here calling the method set content view. Okay. We could, for example, add another layout. We create a new layout resource file, blah, blah, blah. We have a lot of we could second layout, for example, other layout. Okay, we create it. We could put elements on it. I'm going to put some. I'm going to center it to the screen. Sorry. Okay, and then we have this other layout. Doesn't mind. Okay. If we go to the month activity, okay, we could. Okay, you see that we have the activity main. Okay, but we have now this. The Android Studio, okay, the environment has automatically generated the reference, okay, to this new layout, okay. And then if we launch the application, okay, I can comment it. Okay, if we launch the application, we will set another layout instead of this one, okay, or we can't dynamically change it in during the execution of the application. What's the right screen? There are two. Which one? No, I have only one. No sé cuál dices. Miguel? When you were designing in the UA. This one. Okay, here you have the. This is a different view. Okay, this is the. How do you say that? The design and the blueprint. Okay, in the design you see what you are seeing. In the blueprint you have all the components, even if they are, for example, let me do. I cannot do that here easily. There are some views, okay. In this one you have this is very simple. We have the same, okay, because we have all the elements. Let me do that. Okay, here for example I have hidden. Wait. Okay, in this case I in the left side is the design. This is what is actually being displayed. Okay, in the other I have the blueprint. I can also identify the other elements even if they are not visible. Okay, you could, if you are doing something simple, for example, here you can keep with just the design view or the blueprint. Here we see the text that I have hidden here. Okay. So, well, with the method set content view, we choose the layout. Okay, if any activity will have a content view, okay, for setting the we will any activity on the onCreate method will call the set content view method to set the layout that we want actually to display. Again, in the layout XML file, we assign always, this is also automatically generated, a unique identifier to each element, okay, that we add to the graphic interface. Okay, for example, here you have a button. In the okay, in this one I have in the code, okay, I have an ID here, ID button, ID switch 1, text view 3. Okay, you can change that, or you can keep the ID. Okay, well, you can change it here. So later on, okay, these attributes, okay, can be passed as an argument to the method find view by ID, okay, to get a reference to the view. Okay, for example, here getting the button B button, okay, we cast it find view by the air ID button, blah blah blah. Vale, for example, I'm going to copy that. So in this one, if I go to, I will get the first one. It's a button. Okay, so let's say button. Are going to do it Java like. Okay, button blah blah blah. Okay, I will have id dot. Okay, this is my button. Okay, so here, right on the code. Okay, I can access I can do things. Okay, and I can invoke methods on this now on this Java object, which is the button. Okay, and for example, I could do, for example, button set text, for example. I could change the vale. Okay, or for example, I could do okay, I could enable or disable the button during the execution. Okay, if let's try to execute it, see what happens. This is not the good one. Takes up time. Okay. Oh, I put it should put false otherwise. And now, oh, magic, it is disabled. Okay, so with this method that you will use it a lot, find view ID, you can get a reference to any view, any object, any anything in your user interface, and you could do things with that. Okay, you have all the methods. Okay. Even also you can modify any of the parameters of the view, in this case the button, in during the execution of the application. Okay. So okay, so there are different kinds of layouts. Okay. So here you have, going back to I prefer to explain into the Android Studio. Okay, here you have some views, text view, button, switch, another text view, blah blah blah, which are individual elements, and we have a constant layout. Okay, constant layout is a view group. Okay, it's an object containing different individual objects. Okay, so here you have different kinds of layout. Constant layout, which is the one I'm using, linear layout, horizontal or vertical, frame layout, table row, or space. Okay, that I'm not sure how does it work. Okay, very probably, well, you have also some containers and some additional elements. Okay, well, but the basic block, okay, will have will be using some of these layouts. Okay, in the constraint layout, okay, we are all the elements must be will be positioned according to some constraints, okay, according to the position of other element, okay. If you go back, you can see here that I have placed, okay, the Ola Valencia here in the middle, the button here in the middle, but 128 units below the text view, okay. You can see that text view is here floating apparently, and you can see that the switch is okay, in the middle between the button and the border, the down, the bottom border, okay. If we go back to the application, you can see that it's not displayed in the same position, okay. The Ola Valencia, it's in the middle more or less. The button is also in the middle, okay, but the text view is on the upper left corner, and switch is on the left side of the screen, okay. When using the constraint layout, you need always to specify the position in the X axis and in the W axis, okay, in the vertical and the horizontal position. Otherwise, if some of these positions is not defined, the view will go to the 0, 0, okay, the upper left corner, which is what happens with the text view, okay. The text view is in the middle, but actually it's not in the middle, okay. When we execute the application, we haven't specified any constraint for this one. It's going back to the upper left corner, okay. And for example, if we change that, we have this in the middle. If we say that it's going to be okay, and for example, we are going to place it again in the middle, okay, and the text view will be close to Ola Valencia. Here, and well, some points, okay, more or less. If I execute it again, let's see what happens. Okay, now everything is in the place it should be. Okay, the text view is in an absolute position related to the Ola Valencia. Ola Valencia is in the middle with some in the middle and in the a bit on the towards the top. Button is in the middle, but on a fixed distance below Ola Valencia, and switch is in the middle between the button and the sides of the screen. Okay. So layouts can be a bit tricky. Okay. So again, what I should recommend to you, for example, if you want to play with layouts, is to create an empty activity and to play a bit with that. Okay. Start with a constraint layout. That is the one that you will probably use more, and then to try to place different components and see how it is how they are used. Okay. There are some legacy components, okay, list view, tab host, relative layout, and so on, that you may find they are still supported, okay, and you will find them in some Android applications too, okay. Wait, this is my Android Studio. Okay. Going back here. Okay, so some examples: the linear layout, table layout, and table row. These are on the legacy. I'm not going to play with that. okay, and all the parameters, okay, scroll view, grid layout, blah blah blah. Okay, I'm going to finish with the dimensions, okay, and then we will do a short exercise. So, but just to conclude that, okay, as I told you, if you want to try, you are on the computer right now, okay, you can start playing, create a file, new project, create the empty activity with just one activity, okay, and you can start playing with the different the layouts and components and so on, okay. And just to finish this part, I'm going to skip that. Dimensions and screen sizes, okay. So a big problem with Android is that there are a lot of thousands of different devices, okay, and you have different screens, okay. But actually, any screen has two characteristics: the size in inches, in pulgadas, and the pixels, okay, the dots, okay. So that gives us density per inch, okay, the DPI. So the fact is that each manufacturer, okay, each Android device manufacturer can choose whatever screen size and whatever density of the device. Okay, that's really good because you go to MediaMarkt and you will find a lot of devices, but this is good. This is bad for us as developers, okay, because we need to consider, okay, many different possibilities. Okay, in order to simplify that, Android defines 6 generalized densities and now way to specify the required size for the application. Okay, so from the size and the density, we can obtain the resolution, okay, which is the total number of pixels in both directions. Okay, the horizontal resolution will be the width multiplied by the density, and the vertical resolution, the height multiplied by the density, okay? So the size of the elements on the screen can be provided in different units, in pixels, on millimeters, or dp, which is what we call the density independent pixel, okay? If we specify the size of a component in pixels, it will have obviously a different size, okay, depending on the density of points on the screen, okay? So the better is to use units, these dps, okay, that are independent of the density of the screen, okay. So a quick example, okay, 1 dp corresponds to a pixel on a screen with a dot density of 160 dpi, okay. So 160 dp is 1 inch, which is 2.54 centimeters. Okay, so if we want a view to have a height of 1 centimeter, okay, which is the width of a finger, for example, we want to make a button that is easy to touch, okay, we will need to 1 centimeter will be equal to 63 dps, okay, and the system will be able to determine the size in pixels of a view with a dp on a screen with a density of b dp. Okay, so you can do that in just one density, but also Android defines 2 set of 6 generalized densities. Okay, from low DPI to extra high density. Okay, which is ranges from 120 to 640 dpi. So when you are developing, you are creating a very simple application, okay, just one button and so on, maybe you don't need to do something complicated, okay. But if you plan to do an application with a more complex UI or a more complex or you plan to take advantage of screens, of larger screens, okay, maybe you will need, okay, it will be recommended to create a design and a specific layout for each density. Okay. So we can also, not only the layout, but we can also provide different icons for different densities and different bitmap files, okay, images, PNG, GPT, GIF, okay, for different densities, okay, with a qualifier, okay, which is this will be the qualifier. So, and at runtime, the system will choose, okay, the resource according to different rules, okay, depending on the density and screen size, the system will use the most appropriate resource, okay, the one that fits best that fits the device configuration, okay, and if there are not qualified resources, the system will use the predefined resource and will enlarge or reduce it to adapt it to the configuration, okay. In this, okay, no, this is the exercise for tomorrow, okay. Here, for example, we could create a new layout. Okay, and here you have the, you can choose the qualifier, okay? We could create, for example, the activity main for extra high. Okay, activity main. Okay, and here you will have, okay, the activity main, the default activity main, the default layout, and one layout, a different layout, okay, for extra high densities, okay? To keep it simple, and for example, for the lab, well, for the lab, maybe you could have different layouts, okay? It depends on what you want to achieve. Okay, but okay, for simple applications or very simple applications, or at least here during the lessons, you can just keep one default layout, one default image size, okay, for just a common density. Okay, it's not really important. That's not something you should take into account. Okay. Okay, and okay, finally, in the Android manifest file, okay, you can specify which screens are supported by your application with the element support screen. Okay, and you can, again, as I have shown you, okay, you can define different layouts in different directories. Okay, and again, the system will choose the best layout depending on the device. Okay, so that's all I wanted to explain it to you today. 10 minutes left. Okay, I don't know if you have any question on that. Any question? Preguntas? No? Okay. So I wanted to propose you an exercise, but I think we will do it tomorrow. Okay. If you haven't installed Android Studio yet, please do that, because tomorrow we will do several exercises. Okay, with all the layouts and other stuff, and I will publish the first assignment of the course. Okay, which will be evaluated. Okay, and that's all. If you have any question, okay, you have 10 minutes to talk about whatever you want, or as I told you, to create an empty application and start playing with that. Sí, a ver, mañana publicaré mañana publicaré, ¿vale? Un primer ejercicio muy sencillito, ¿vale? Que será uno de los que serán evaluables, ¿vale? Que es, bueno, trastear un poquito con los recursos y con las actividades y demás, ¿vale? Pero no será para mañana. Mañana la publicaré y tendréis hasta el viernes, por ejemplo, para entregarlo. El proyecto, cuando empiece el laboratorio, ¿vale? La semana del laboratorio, que es hasta... No, la que viene tampoco, la semana del 22, pues la semana del 22 lo publicamos, ¿vale? Va a ser un proyecto diferente al del año pasado, ¿vale? Por si tenéis referencias, ¿vale? Las grabaciones de las clases se quedan en el aula virtual normalmente. Ahora cuando terminamos, ¿vale? Se quedan grabadas ahí. ¿Vale? Vale, sí, sin problema. Sí, no hay problema. Hasta el martes que viene. Vale, ya veréis que es muy sencillita, ¿vale? Eso... ¿Habrá que hacer un manual luego de acabar el proyecto? No, en principio lo que vamos a evaluar va a ser el trabajo, la aplicación, ¿vale? Lo que revisaremos será el código y sobre todo que el código esté bien escrito y bien comentado. Va de las asignaturas de programar, no de hacer manuales. Vale. Vale. No, la idea bueno, la idea del laboratorio, ¿vale? Que estamos terminando de definirlo, es básicamente que, bueno, que diseñéis una aplicación, ¿vale? Con una serie de funcionalidades requeridas y luego una serie de funcionalidades opcionales, ¿vale? Un poco nice to have. Y a partir de ahí, pues daros bastante libertad para que la implementéis de una manera o de otra, ¿vale? El proyecto sí es individual, ¿vale? No os copiéis, que luego se nota mogollón. Las prácticas también son individuales, la evaluación es toda individual. Uh-huh. Las prácticas en principio vamos a mantenerlas durante este mes, desde luego van a ser online, ¿vale? A partir de lo que nos digan en marzo veremos. En principio son prácticas que se pueden hacer perfectamente de manera remota, ¿vale? Además los grupos, hay 4 grupos de laboratorio, ¿vale? Que son, creo que sois entre unos 15, 20 alumnos como mucho, entonces más o menos también remotamente, tanto yo como Miriam, que lleva la mayoría de grupos, os podemos dar apoyo ahí. Pero bueno, veremos un poco, estamos a las expensas de lo que diga de lo que marque la universidad ahí. Los proyectos van a ser todos iguales, es decir, los proyectos del laboratorio. Sí, a ver, en principio va a haber una especie de... Una especie no, va a haber una... el proyecto que vais a desarrollar todos va a ser el mismo, en el sentido de que la funcionalidad tendrá que ser la misma, ¿vale? Pero habrá que hacer una serie de cosas, mostrar una serie de... La aplicación tendrá que permitir hacer una serie de operaciones, etcétera. Luego, ¿cómo lo implementéis? Tenéis un montón de libertad para elegirlo, ¿vale? Si, oye, hay que mostrar unos datos, si queréis utilizar una tabla, si queréis utilizar una lista, si queréis hacer una representación gráfica, ahí tendréis opciones para... Pero digamos, el enunciado sí que será el mismo, ¿vale? Porque en Android sobre todo, bueno, en Android sobre todo como es una asignatura más introductoria, ¿vale? Vemos que tiene más sentido pues que desarrolléis un proyecto en el que trabajéis diferentes, en el que por requisitos del enunciado, de diseño, trabajéis diferentes partes de la programación en Android, pues yo qué sé, utilización, acceso a recursos en red, ¿no? Aparte de networking, utilización de la base de datos local, etcétera, ¿no? Un poco preferimos acotar el enunciado para que toquéis diferentes aspectos de la programación en Android, ¿vale? Aunque luego ahí sí que os dejemos pues libertad para incorporar mejoras y para también las funcionalidades básicas que hay que implementar, pues decidir cómo se implementan. El proyecto se desarrolla en el lab, sí. Lo que he hecho algún año ha sido, si vemos que vamos bien de tiempo en teoría, pues lo mismo que estamos haciendo ahora, pues igual dejar 15, bueno, media hora, ¿vale? Si ya a mitad de... Si avanzamos bien lo que es la teoría, pues dejar media hora, pues igual también aquí en la clase para resolver dudas o cuestiones, ¿vale? Eso era más fácil de hacer en la clase presencial, porque me enseñabais el código en el ordenador, mira, esto no funciona, esto da este error, etcétera. Aquí online veremos cómo lo planteamos. ¿Algún libro para la asignatura que sea más nuevo? Yo no tiraría de libros, ¿vale? En Android hay un montón de... Ya. Sí, en Android hay un montón de recursos online, ¿vale? Solamente que ya con la guía de developer de Android y algunos otros recursos tenéis más que suficiente, casi, en mi opinión, mejor que libros. ¿Vale? Si queréis, lo que buscaré será actualizar al menos una aparte de la guía oficial, ¿vale? El sitio oficial de Google sobre Android, buscar algunos otros recursos que sean de utilidad, que estén actualizados y os los comparto. Sí, en YouTube hay de todo. Vamos. Vale, sí, lo miro. Os busco, os comparto para la semana, para mañana no me va a dar tiempo, pero para la semana que viene os comparto unas cuantas referencias, blogs, publicaciones, etcétera, o algún canal donde podáis encontrar también temas adicionales. Vale, a ver, como puedes hacer prácticamente de todo. Lo que pasa es que, claro, un poco la curva de aprendizaje es bastante más, es más o menos complicada, ¿vale? La parte más, a ver, yo creo que en Android hay tres retos, o sea, un poco la parte cuando te metes a desarrollar en Android, ¿vale? Y yo tampoco me calificaría ahí mismo como programador experto, ni mucho menos. Ahí tienes tres retos. Uno es el diseño de interfaces de usuario, ¿vale? Y un poco ser capaz de aplicar pues todas las mejoras y todos los nuevos elementos y demás que ha ido incorporando Android en las últimas versiones, ¿vale? Porque digamos la parte de interfaz interfaz de usuario que vamos a ver es bastante básica, ¿vale? Luego tienes un montón más de cosas avanzadas que puedes incorporar de una manera y otra y hay que manejar, ¿vale? Esa es una. La otra, toda la parte de programación en background mediante servicios, broadcast receivers, etcétera, ¿vale? Que requieren ahí, primero requieren que vayas a desarrollar una aplicación un poco más compleja, ¿vale? Y luego hace falta también saber cómo utilizarlos, ¿vale? Entender que digamos ahí un poco a nivel conceptual sí que es un poco más difícil que la aplicación, que digamos que el desarrollo de una aplicación más centrada en la interfaz de usuario. Y el tercer reto es ponerte y aprender Kotlin, ¿vale? En mi opinión, esos son un poco las tres cosas más complejas que tiene. ¿Vale? Si no hay más preguntas, ¿vale? Lo dejamos aquí, ¿vale? Y nos vemos mañana. Venga, chao.